Welcome to part 5 of Let's Play Sword of the Samurai by Mark Smith and Jamie Thomson. At the end of the last part, I was on paragraph 54. Let's reread this paragraph as a reminder. You have finally defeated the Dione and it lies at your feet in the sand of the arena, breathing its last. The ghostly crowd fades away and the arena is empty. The Dione whispers painfully to you. You have won, mortal. The laws of the tyranny of the plains set by the gods bind me like fetters of steel. Now I must grant you one request. What will you ask? What is the secret of singing death? 10 to 206. How do I slay Ikiru, master of shadows? 10 to 188. Help me in my quest to slay Ikiru. 10 to 150. Okay, we are going to ask what is the secret of singing death and turn to 206. The Dione screws up its face in pain and rage. Curse you, mortal. The secret is harmony. Utter that word and singing death will come to life and fly into your hands. But only for those of noble heart. Which is why Ikiru has been unable to use it yet, he adds with a laugh of malicious glee. Then his body dies. If you have a jade amulet fashioned in the shape of a tatsu, 10 to 220. If not, 10 to 270. Okay, so first of all we've learnt the secret of singing death, which is harmony. So the secret of singing death is harmony. Okay, that's that in the information paragraph bit. Next, we do have a jade amulet in the shape of a tatsu. Yep, jade talisman of fortuitous circumstance. So therefore we are going to 220. A terrible thing happens. Out of the body of the Dione, a spectral shape coalesces, a ghostly form of the demon with insubstantial taloned hands. It is a Shura, or warrior ghost, the spirit of the Dione come to avenge its death. But you remember the words... Excuse me a moment, sorry. But you remember the words of the Tatsu and invoke the Jizo or Jizo of demons, saying, A Shura is here, O Jizo. Come and execute your purpose. As you finish the word purpose, a being appears before you. He is dressed as a warrior monk and bears a staff inscribed with glowing runes. You are filled with awe at the sight of it. The Jizo of demons ignores you and merely strikes the ghostly spectre. The apparition promptly disappears with an echoing wail of dread. The Jizo, without even acknowledging your presence, also departs. Turn to 76. Okay, there we go. That's presumably the Jizo, or Jizo, whatever. I'll say Jizo. Okay, so... now we're turning to 76. The walls of the arena begin to shimmer, fade, and dissolve away. Something else appears in its stead. A black, dark place. You are at the end of a long, pillared hall of black marble. Braziers of glowing coal give off an eerie glow, and shadows flicker and weave, chasing one another across the floor. At the end of the hall is a huge pit from which noxious fumes spiral upward. Beyond the pit is a grotesquely carved throne of dull stone. The workmanship is extraordinary. Peaks, pinnacles, gargoyles, and strange twisted shapes adorn it. The effect is to wreathe the throne in shadows. You can just make out a cowled figure sitting upon it. It seems to be staring at something in front of the throne. On a stand before the throne rests a magnificent no dachi, a two-handed sword, in a scabbard of bright filigreed gold. It seems completely out of place in this hall of shadowy gloom and brooding evil. You recognize Singing Death, the sword of the samurai, and your heart is uplifted. Then the cowled head jerks up in surprise. Beneath the cowl there is nothing but blackness. A sibilant whisper hisses forth, a quiet exhalation of breath. Who dare visit Onikaru, the pit of demons, and incur the wrath of Ikiru, master of shadows? If you know the secret of Singing Death, turn to 152. If you do not, turn to 94. Okay, so there we are. That's what we're seeing now. Okay, so we do know the secret of Singing Death because we just learned it. So we're turning to 152. Without hesitating, you shout "Harmony" as loudly as you can. The sound echoes like a trumpet blast through the quiet gloom of this hall of shadows. Ikiru recoils in horror on his throne. "No," he rasps, a sound like chalk screeching on a blackboard. A blaze of light erupts from the sword, dispelling the shadows and causing Ikiru to cover his cowled face even further. The flare dies down as quickly as it came. Singing Death rises majestically into the air and then hurtles towards you with fantastic speed, straight into your outstretched hands, where it seems to nestle as if welcoming you. The effect is instantaneous. You are filled with strength and well-being. Gain 2 luck points, 2 skill points, and 4 stamina points, even if any of these bonuses take you beyond your initial status. Ooh. Will do. Okay, so that puts me up to 14 skill then. Puts me up to 16 stamina. And puts me up to 11 luck points again. Yeah, because that was 2, 2, and 4 here. Now you stand for a moment unable to act as raw vitality courses through you. The cowled figure gestures hurriedly and a shadow form floats up out of the pit. It begins to take shape before you. It is vaguely manlike, but with a horned head and massive taloned claws. It is a shadow demon, only semi-corporeal, a creature from the nether regions. If your honor is 3 or more, turn to 274. If it is less than 5, turn to 174. Sorry, that doesn't say 3 or more. Yes, it does. Hold on. Can't see. It's a bit blurry. That does say 3, doesn't it? Or does it? Does it say 5 or 3? Well, logically, it looks like a 3, but it's sort of pixelated. But logically, I suppose it should be a 5 because either it's 5 or more or less than 5. Because otherwise, if you got 4, well, that's 3 or more, and it's also less than 5, so it could possibly be 4. So that excludes 4, which is impossible. So therefore, that must say 5 or more. So it's just annoyingly pixelated there. Sorry about that. That's the quality of the PDF I have. Anyway, let's have a look at our honor. Our honor is 7, which is definitely 5 or more. So we are turning to 274. Now the shadow demon lunges at you. You swing Singing Death in a great two-handed cut. As the sword connects, it gives a single pulse of blazing white light. The demon howls in agony, a distant faint wail, and its shadowy substance is burst asunder, shards of blackness flying apart until nothing is left. Turn to 212, which is boiling point in Fahrenheit, in degrees Fahrenheit rather. Anyway, the shadow demon is dead, and Ikiru hisses in rage and fear. Hurriedly, he raises his hands high and utters a strange cry. Shapes begin to rise up out of the pit and form around him. A phalanx of guardian shadows, a score surround him in moments. Will you step forward and throw Singing Death into the pit? Turn to 312. Will you wait to see what happens? Turn to 51. Will you walk around the pit and try to stride boldly through the shadowy forms? Turn to 298. Or will you throw Singing Death like a spear at Ikiru? Turn to 63. We are going to walk around the pit and try to strike boldly through the shadowy forms. Turn to 298. So 298, here we go. You skirt the pit and walk towards the throne, holding Singing Death in front of you. As you near it, the shadows fall back, unable to resist the power of the sword. Those that stray too close are instantly vaporized by its touch. Turn to 121. You are in front of the throne. Ikiru rises up like a shade. You stare into the cowl, to see only shadowy nothingness, the face of evil. Ikiru points at you, and bolts of dark energy leap from his fingers towards you. If your honor is 6 or more, turn to 189. If it is 5 or less, turn to 131. Well, our honor is 7, so that's 6 or more, so we're turning to 189. But let's have a look at the photo first. Not the photo, the picture first. There we go. That's not a photo. Anyway, that's what we're seeing. The lightning bolts look like sort of chasms or gorges or something. Anyway, 189. Suddenly, Singing Death flares brightly once more, and the bolts of dark energy simply cease to be, extinguished in its bright light. Ikiru staggers back, but the light fades as quickly as it sprang up. Turn to 199. A sword of black steel, etched with glowing red runes, appears in Ikiru's shadowy grasp, and you both fall to combat. Dark against light. Each time you hit him, deduct stamina as usual, but also test your luck. If you are lucky, turn to 235. If you are unlucky, just fight on. Each time Ikiru hits you, not only do you lose the normal stamina, but a powerful surge of force erupts from his black rune sword and threatens to overcome you. Roll 2 dice. If the result is more than your stamina, turn to 47. If it is not, fight on. Ikiru, skill 12, stamina 12. If you win, turn to 400. Okay, so let's just put Ikiru 1212 in the encounter thing. Okay, 1212. Now our skill is 14 and our stamina is 16 and our luck is 11. So let's do this. So 12 plus 6 is 18. I get 22, so 18 to 22. So that puts him down to 10. However, we have to do something else, don't we? Each time you hit him, test your luck. If you're lucky, you turn to 235. Okay, let's do that. So our luck is 11. So let's do that. So our luck is 11. Let's go. And that is 11 or less. So we were lucky. So therefore, let's reduce our luck by 1. Whoops, that's not 1, that's 2. There we go. And then let's turn to 235. Singing Death cuts into Ikiru's side and he hisses with pain. A jagged bolt of lightning leaps from the sword blade and into Ikiru's cowled face. There is an almighty thunderclap, and the black rune sword disappears, and Ikiru is destroyed utterly. No vestige of his being remains in the chamber. Oh, that was good. We need to win 1 attack round and get lucky. Okay, so that puts him down to 0 now. So I'll put that on there. Okay, no vestige of his being remains in the chamber. Turn to 400. The black robes that encased the Master of Shadows fall to the floor in a heap. Ikiru is no more. The walls of his dark hall begin to shudder, and his throne to crumble. The pit falls in on itself. Great cracks appear in the floor. Desperately, you search for an entrance, but then part of a wall falls away and clean sunlight passes in. Wincing from the glare, you run out to find yourself in the Shiossi Mountains. Behind you, the great black palace of strange alien design is crumbling away, the palace of Ikiru. You find yourself in the midst of a camp of Shikomi, but they are ignoring you. Some of them are staring in horrified fear at the palace. Others are running hither and thither in panic. You take this opportunity to leave quickly, and you escape unmolested. A few days later, you are safely back in Konichi, the capital, where the shogun holds a state banquet in your honor. With the return of Singing Death, his rule is assured, and the lords of Hachiman unite under his banner to repel the barbarian invaders. With Ikiru slain, his army of Shikomi disperse, and the threat is lifted. An age of peace and prosperity lies ahead of you and the people of Hachiman. Excellent, that's the end of the book. Or is it? Yes, we are going to do the whole book again because we're going to turn east at the start now. So I'm going to start the book again. I'm going to erase all this stuff here. In fact, I can just erase all this, can't I? Because I have some other encounter box things. So we have no gold again, and we have no information. We have can't remember how many honor we started with. I'll have to look at that. Equipment, well, we just started off with the okay, so we started off with I can't remember. I'll have to start again and see what we had. I'll pause the video in a moment once I've deleted everything. We'll get a new skill just to make it fun. Get a new skill. We have 10 provisions again. Next paragraph is obviously reset. Luck. We'll have to just... I'll start off again with exactly the same stats because there's no point doing that again, is there? Yeah. So let me just... I won't pause the video. I'll just have a quick read of what we have at the start. Okay, so honor points. You begin the adventure with 3 honor points. Okay, that makes sense. Alright, so we begin the adventure with 3 honor. So let's put it back down to 3. We actually, this time, we're going to get EI Jutsu. We're going to get the fast draw thing. So, EI Jutsu. Yes, let's put that here. EI Jutsu, which is fast draw. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means that this skill enables you to draw your sword and strike all in one fast motion. This means that you will always hit your enemy no matter what his skill rating in the first round of combat only, doing 3 stamina points of damage. Yeah, so that's pretty good. So we don't have to worry about arrows and how many arrows we have. So I'll just say always. I'll just say no. I don't need the parentheses, do I? We always strike first, doing 3 stamina points of damage. Okay, so yeah, so that's pretty handy. So we always win the first attack round, more or less. Okay. Anyway, so that's that. Anyways, now let's go to the first paragraph. Oh yeah, what did we start with again? What equipment do we have at the start? Doesn't say. I'll just read the first background thing again. Does it say in the first paragraph? Yeah, it says so. You gather your weapons, your katana, and I have to write that again because I stupidly deleted it. There's equipment. So what do we have? We have katana longsword. So katana. Whoops. So that's longsword. We also have Wakizashi. It's a little bit wacky. Wakizashi, which is a short sword. Again, and we'll just say that we have the same stats we had at the start, the same statistics we had at the start. Yeah, okay, good. So let's next paragraph. Yeah, okay. So let's reread the first paragraph, but now we're turning east because it's an entirely, well, mostly different adventure. It's a mostly different adventure. So I'll start the book again, but go east this time. Okay, paragraph 1. You gather your weapons, your katana longsword and wakizashi short sword, your battle armor and provisions. We have 10, don't we? And we have battle armor. So battle armor. The guards salute you as you leave the main gate of Konichi. You follow the road north through the beautiful countryside surrounding the capital. Soon you come to a fork in the road. Will you go west and north to the Forest of Shadows, Hagakure Bridge and onto the Shiosi Mountains, turn to 10, or east to the ford through the Mizo-Kumo Fens and thence to the mountains, thence meaning from there, turn to 29. So yeah, we're going to go to the east this time, and yeah, let's do this. The East Road, which meanders across the plain of the great Hangyo River, bustles with activity. Here, in the fertile river valleys, swept constantly by the shogun's samurai patrols, many of the people know nothing of the unrest which has brought turmoil to the borders of Hachiman. The rice wagons and the impromptu caravans of tinkers and peddlers which pass along the road, plying their wares from fief to fief, are no different from those which rolled along the road of the east wind 200 years ago. They, being of lower caste than you, a samurai and the shogun's champion, are careful that the wheels of their carts do not splash your splendid armour, and all bow as you pass. The journey into the uplands is peaceful enough, but as the last bend of the river, twinkling like a band of mercury in the late afternoon sun, falls out of sight, so the attitude of the peasants you meet changes. Turn to 43. Okay, the deference normally accorded to one of your standing in society is sadly missing in the behaviour of the first uplanders you meet. They are charcoal burners, grimed grey with the soot of their trade. One of them, younger than the others, recognises the standard that flaps in the wind behind your back and scorns you. Look, friends, it is the rightful champion of the wrongful king. Where is your master's sword? Where is your master without the sword? Hasekawa, bless his shaven pate, is no shogun. You have no master, you are ronin. Ronin are samurai who have no lord and have lost their status. The peasant is insulting you and the shogun. The other charcoal burners shout at the youngster to be quiet. Will you punish the youth, turn to 59, or walk on as if you hadn't noticed, turn to 77? Okay, we're going to punish the youth and turn to 59. The charcoal burners number about 10, and they are clustered within a circle of low smoking mounds which are covered by newly cut turf. Grey smoke rises from the mounds that conceal the wood, which is slowly being turned into charcoal at great heat. Nearby lie several staves ready to be burnt. Will you order them to abase themselves at your feet, 10 to 111? Send an arrow winging its way towards the youth if you have the skill of Kyujutsu, 10 to 123. Draw your swords, 10 to 135, or if you have the skill of Karamijutsu, leap heroically among them, 10 to 147. Okay, we're going to order them to abase themselves at your feet, at our feet rather, and 10 to 111. The eldest of the charcoal burners, a crook-legged fellow, creaks painfully to his arithritic. There we go. Sorry, creaks painful. For some reason, I kept thinking that read arithmetic. I was trying to wonder why it was spelt wrong. Creaks painfully to his arthritic knees and humbly begs your pardon for the insulting behaviour of his son. The others follow suit as he offers to show you a safe village nearby in which to spend the night. Looking up to see your stern expression, he begs you to take his son as a slave, that you may teach him humility, but he beseeches you not to kill him. Will you make them swear an oath of allegiance before going on, turn to 163, or command the old man to show you to the sanctuary of the village, turn to 179. Okay, we're going to make them swear an oath of allegiance before going on, and turn to 163. They repeat the oath of allegiance, and you inform them that it is the shogun's wish that clemency be shown to his subjects, and that you will spare their lives. Increase your honour by 1. So we now have 4 honour points. Will you command the old man to show you to the sanctuary of the village, turn to 179, or journey on alone, turn to 195? Okay, we're going to command the old man to show us to the sanctuary of the village, turn to 179. Ordering the old man to show you the way alone, you leave the charcoal burner's woods. He bids farewell to his son, then fawningly ushers you on. He takes you along a winding track that leads to the dales of Kanshuro, a land where wooded plateau or whatever are riven by beautiful and peaceful dales, which nestle unseen between cliffs cut into the limestone by the rivers which formed them. At dusk you take a path down into the vale of Tinshu to a small and picturesque village. You turn to the old man to ask its name, but he has fallen to the ground. You try to rouse him, but his heart has stopped. He is dead. Turn to 5. Suspicious of whatever caused the old charcoal burner's death, you skirt the perimeter of the village, but all looks normal and peaceful. Peasants go about their business, mostly returning home as dusk falls. Some of the older villagers are gathering outside the headman's house. Will you ask one of the peasants for hospitality, turn to 71, or join the elders at the headman's house, turn to 319? Okay, we're going to join the elders at the headman's house and turn to 319. A circle of 10 of the most venerable-looking peasants surround the well outside the headman's house. They part deferentially to allow you within their circle, and the headman, who carries a ribbon of office and the headman's medal, invites you to stay with them until their business is finished. Then, surprisingly, they ignore you and go on talking about village matters. Indeed, strangely enough, they seem to be deciding whether or not to stop planting crops altogether. The western sky is a blaze of sunset red. Will you leave the village and walk off into the sunset, turn to 11, or wait for them to finish, turn to 155? Okay, we're going to leave the village and walk off into the sunset and turn to 11. You tell the elders that you have left some belongings outside the village, and that you will return with them shortly, but they seem unwilling to let you go. You end up forcing your way past them and walking behind some houses to avoid their prying eyes. When out of sight, you make for the village's end. Turn to 15. You head hastily in the opposite direction. The opposite direction from that by which you entered the village. Nobody appears to notice you leave, and you begin to breathe more easily. There was something unnatural about the villagers. Suddenly you catch sight of the old charcoal burner who brought you to the village. You thought him quite dead, having left his unbreathing corpse at the other edge of the village. Yet here he is grinning at you from behind a wall. You step forward, unable to believe your eyes. but then stop as his head sails up into the night air. It has completely detached itself from his body. With a thrill of horror, you realize that this is an undead being, a Rokuro Kubi, whose heads detach themselves at night in order to hunt. It spits black gobbets of poison which hiss and smoke as they spatter against your face. You are in agony. Lose 2 stamina points. You must fight the Rokuro Kubi as it flies through the air, snapping viciously. Rokuro Kubi, skill 7, stamina 8. If you win, turn to 153. Okay, I'll just do this and I'll end the video. Okay, so Rokuro Kubi. Okay. Kobe or whatever. Skill 7. Stamina, what was it? It's Kubi, Rokuro Kubi 7-8, right? So it's with a U, sorry. And stamina 8, okay. Okay, my skill is 12, off we go. So 7 plus 5 is 12, I get 20. So 12 to 20. Puts it down to 6. Okay. 7 plus 7 is 14. I get 15. So 14 to 15. Puts it down to 4. 7 plus 6 is 13. I get 18. So 13 to 18. Can't count. 13 to 18. Puts it down to 2. Okay, 7 plus 3 is 10. I get 18. So 10 to 18. That's the end of Rokuro Kubi. Right, okay, so let's turn to 153. Okay, so in the next video I will read paragraph 153 and continue the adventure in the Eastern Path. So, whoops. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you can join me next time, and goodbye.